Hello, everybody. Mad Dog here again. No, the video is late today, but that's okay. I do apologize about that. Um, I was My wife and I went to Costco yesterday, and it was a pretty warm day here. So, for some of you, pretty warm is going to say, "Oh, that was great. I wish I was there," because it was only like 80 degrees outside. But for us here, that's hot. Um, Anyway, so sorry about the lateness. I am going to try and do something a little bit different today. I've been trying to come up of actual topics that I can talk about that are of interest to me on these vlogs. Try to do something a little bit different, add a little bit of structure to the vlog, if you will. Today, I'm going to talk about tornadoes and my love of severe weather. My love of severe weather goes back to probably when I was in high school or earlier than that. I did, because of that, I did consider at one point becoming a meteorologist. The only problem with that was when I actually looked at the course requirements or requirements for getting a Bachelor of Science in Meteorology degree. The amount of mathematics and calculus that was involved in that was kind of daunting to me, so I moved away from that. So, but I still, and since moving back here to Colorado, I have rediscovered my interest in more severe forms of weather, uh, particularly tornadoes. I have never myself experienced a tornado. I experienced a severe downburst once when I was very small, or not very small, but when I was younger, about I think 9 or 10. There was a downburst that destroyed our chicken coop at the house that we had out here in Elizabeth, Colorado, and that was associated with a severe thunderstorm. So let me talk to you a bit first about what severe thunderstorms are like here as compared to what severe thunderstorms are like in Arizona. Um, Now, those of you that live in Arizona, and most of my followers, most of my subscribers are from Arizona, since that's where I started this vlog, and most of them are my friends. Um, a severe thunderstorm in Arizona is usually happens during the monsoon, so July through September. And severe thunderstorms in Arizona usually have winds and associated dust storms, lots of lightning and rain. That's a severe thunderstorm in Arizona. You can get hail, and I experienced a pretty bad hailstorm in Arizona once. It was one of the worst I've ever been in. That was in October, though, and that was an unusual event. Uh, Severe hail is not really that common in Arizona. Now, here in Colorado, a severe thunderstorm, while broadly similar, has some different characteristics. Yes, there's still a lot of lightning. Yes, there's still a lot of wind. However, you are likely to get a lot more hail here than you would in Arizona and in a lot of other places in the country. And the hail can come in the form of, stones that are the size of a pea, all the way up to stones that are the size of baseballs. And I have experienced a baseball sized hailstorm before. That was exciting. Again, that happened when we lived out in Elizabeth when I was younger, again, about maybe 10. Storm came in, and it was really quiet. The sky was very, very dark, and there was thunder and lightning, but it was very quiet. There wasn't any rain, there wasn't a whole lot of wind. And all of a sudden, boom! Mom and I were like, what the heck is that? So we went and looked out the front door. And as we're looking out the front door, a giant hailstone falls from the sky and hits the ground and makes that boom sound. Sounded like a cannon going off. And then it opened up. For the next 25 to 30 minutes, it did nothing but hail. And most of those hailstones were the size of softballs or baseballs. It damaged our roof. Luckily, it didn't punch through the roof, but it damaged the roof of the house to the point where we had to get a new roof for the house, which we also used that as an opportunity to paint the whole house. That was kind of an interesting, we had green roof tile. We painted the house red, and the numbers, the address numbers on the outside, we painted yellow. I'm surprised to this day that we were able to sell the house with that kind of combination. But anyway, that was the most intense hailstorm I have ever experienced. Um, I came close to experiencing a tornado once. There was another severe hailstorm a year or two before the baseball sized one. It didn't actually affect us out in Elizabeth as much, but it did affect areas up in Denver and Aurora. It is one of the most costly hailstorms in Colorado history. The storms, pardon me, I guess I swallowed something the wrong way there. The the storms that caused the hail in Denver with that particular storm did affect us in Elizabeth. Well, we didn't get a lot of rain, we didn't get a lot of all that. But when my father came home from work that evening, which the back window on our Jeep Cherokee at the time had been completely smashed in by the hail. So we were going to go. I think we were. I don't know where we were going to go, but we went somewhere. And I think we actually did go to get the back window fixed, but I'm not sure about that. Again, that was 20 plus years ago, almost 30 years ago. But as we're driving down the road, down the hill, behind the house where we lived in Elizabeth, you look up in the sky, and there's a deteriorating funnel cloud coming out of the clouds. That was kind of freaky. And that brings me to what I personally think are one of the most fascinating weather phenomena on the face of the earth, and that is a tornado. It is the most intense windstorm on the face of the earth. No winds are faster than those found in a tornado. Um, the United States gets more tornadoes annually than just about anywhere else on the face of the planet. Um, Here in Colorado, two counties here in Colorado get more tornadoes than any other counties in the United States. Uh, they're usually weak ones, and they usually happen over open fields, so they're not really that notable. But that being said, they get more tornadoes than any other county in the United States, period. Um, that doesn't mean that we live right in smack dab in Tornado Alley, because we don't. Tornado Alley is actually a little bit east of us, comprising parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, places like that. That is considered Tornado Alley, where most of the tornadoes every year happen. The majority of them. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. But earlier in the peak tornado season for that part of the country is usually the months of April, May, and June. Usually. You will sometimes get them later than that. You will sometimes get them earlier than that. There is another alley of tornadoes that happens, that they get tornadoes earlier in the year, earlier in spring, earlier in the year, and their tornadoes are a little different. Usually because this is called Dixie Alley, and this is in the southeastern United States, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, those areas. That's called Dixie Alley. They get a lot of tornadoes every year as well, but their tornadoes are usually a little different than the ones that happen further west in Tornado Alley, in that the storms that produce them are usually moving much faster, so the tornadoes cover a lot more ground in a lot shorter time. And as opposed to the tornadoes that happen in Tornado Alley, the tornadoes that happen in Dixie Alley are usually wrapped in rain. So it's very, very, because they come out of high precipitation supercells, which a supercell, all that is a thunderstorm where the winds are twisting the storm. That's how come you can get a tornado out of that, because the winds are already twisting inside. The storm is twisting. So those storms have a tendency to be very, very destructive, the ones that happen in Dixie Alley. They come through, they leave in a hurry, but they tear everything up. Anyway, that's kind of an overview of tornadoes. I did want to talk to you a little bit about how tornado strengths is measured. I'm going to be looking at Wikipedia while I do this. You can look at this up yourself. The scale by which tornado intensity is judged is called the Enhanced Fujita Scale. It replaced the earlier Fujita Scale, just regular Fujita Scale. It is technically based on the wind speed of the tornado. However, it is actually a damage scale. So determining what factor on the Fujita or Enhanced Fujita Scale is really a measure of surveying the damage left behind by a tornado and comparing that to the scale itself and saying what strength was this tornado. So here is a rundown of the Fujita Scale for you, so you can understand a little bit better what I'm talking. Or the Enhanced Fujita Scale. It starts out, there are 6 categories on the Enhanced Fujita Scale, just as there were 6 categories on the original Fujita Scale. And by the way, this scale was originally developed by a meteorologist by the name of Ted Fujita back in the late 1960s. The original Fujita Scale, the Enhanced Fujita Scale, replaced the original Fujita Scale in 2007. It's just refined the original scale a little bit better to more accurately reflect the damage intensity of individual tornadoes. So the first level of intensity on the Enhanced Fujita Scale is an EF0. The wind speed in an EF0 tornado is between 65 and 85 miles an hour. These kind of tornadoes leave minor damage. They can peel the surface off some roofs. They can cause some damage to gutters and siding. They break branches off trees. They can uproot shallow-rooted trees. And generally, tornadoes that, with no reported damage, that happen over open fields are technically all supposed to be rated EF0. Although the National Weather Service sometimes, in some districts, some jurisdictions, uses EFU for unknown. Then the next one up from EF0 is an EF1. The approximate wind speed in a EF1 tornado is between 86 and 110 miles an hour. This causes moderate damage. Roofs can be severely stripped. Mobile homes can be overturned or badly damaged. Exterior doors can be lost on houses, and windows and other glass are broken. A lot of tornadoes are EF1s, and just because it's an EF1 doesn't mean it can't kill. All of these tornadoes, from EF0 all the way up to the granddaddy of EF5, can be deadly. EF2, that's the next one. These go from 111 miles an hour to 135 miles an hour. They cause considerable damage. Roofs are torn off from well-constructed homes. Foundations of frame houses can be shifted by an EF2. Mobile homes can be completely destroyed. Large trees are snapped or uprooted. And light object missiles are generated. Generally, what that means is that pieces of debris become missiles that can penetrate other surfaces, including you. Imagine being stuck with 1,000 needles of hay. This has happened to someone in a tornado. They died because of the infection, because the doctors could not get all of the needles of hay out of their body. Also in an EF2, cars can be lifted off the ground. EF3. These are 136 miles an hour up to 165 miles an hour. These are considered severe tornadoes. They are not considered violent, although all of these tornadoes are technically violent. It's just something that another piece of terminology the meteorologists use to determine the worst of the worst tornadoes. EF3s cause severe damage. Entire stories of well-constructed homes can be destroyed. Severe damage to large buildings, such as shopping malls, can happen. Trains are overturned. Trees are debarked. Heavy cars are lifted off the ground and thrown, and structures with weak foundations are badly damaged. These tornadoes are bad. EF3s is where tornadoes really start to get bad. These are where they're starting to become monsters. There's been several EF3s that happened here in Colorado. One that I'm most familiar with is one that struck Lyman back in about 1990. It devastated most of the downtown of Lyman, and it killed one person. But That's one of the most severe tornadoes that's happened in Colorado's history. The most damaging tornado in Colorado's history was another EF3 that happened in Windsor. And I don't remember exactly when that was. I think it was 2008, but it happened up in Windsor, Colorado. And that was the most destructive tornado, although it really didn't kill anybody, as far as if I remember my facts correctly, which I may not. You can look that up. Look up Windsor, Colorado tornado, and that'll tell you if anyone died in that tornado or not, because I can't remember right now, and I'm not looking it up. The next one after EF3 is an EF4. These are violent tornadoes. These are true monsters. They have 166 mile an hour winds up to 200 miles an hour. These cause devastating damage. Well-constructed and whole frame houses are completely leveled. Some frame houses may be completely swept off their foundations. Cars and other large objects are thrown, and again, small missiles, debris missiles, are generated. These are no joke. There have been 5 EF4 tornadoes in the United States this year. Almost all of them, in Tennessee and Mississippi. And they have made this year's tornado season, or this year's the tornado season for this year, much more deadly than it was last year. More than twice as many people have died this year already than died all of last year by all the people that were killed last year by tornadoes. After EF4, these are the rarest tornadoes that I'm going to talk about now. They are the most destructive tornadoes. They are the deadliest tornadoes. Again, they're very rare. These are EF5s. Some meteorologists refer to these monsters as the finger of God. These tornadoes have winds in excess of 200 miles an hour. The strongest EF5 ever recorded was a tornado that struck Moore, Oklahoma in 1999 with measured wind speeds of 302 miles an hour, plus or minus 21 miles an hour. These are, like I said, they're extremely rare, but these are the worst storms on Earth. They are the most destructive and the most violent storms on Earth. They cause incredible damage. Well-built frame houses are destroyed with foundations swept clean of debris. Steel-reinforced concrete structures are critically damaged. Tall buildings collapse or have severe structural deformations that cause them to be unusable. And cars, trucks, and trains can be thrown approximately 1 mile by these storms. Those are the monsters. EF4 and EF5, those are monsters. These are all monster storms, but those are the true monsters. Anyway, I wanted to kind of go over all of that with you. I know it's a little different, maybe a little more educational than you're even used to from me. Of course, if you have any other questions about this, anything else you might be interested in learning about, I'm here. Wikipedia is here. The internet is at your fingertips. If you're interested in learning more about what I talked about, there's lots of resources out there for you. Wikipedia is just a good starting place. Anyway, folks, I've been going on for a while now. I hope I made this interesting. This was an experiment for me, more or less. I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. I hope that you have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. This is Mad Dog signing off. Goodbye for now.